So, yeah, that is officially quarter past. Let me move slightly over that way. That might be better. Then I'm out of the shot a little bit. Hello, welcome everybody. Let's get officially started then. It is quarter past. Hello, welcome. I'm Mark Hartright, professional development lead and education consultant here for Smart in the UK. And thanks for joining this afternoon or this morning, depending on where you are. And we're just going to have a look at this training session for about 20 seconds. 20 seconds, that'd be nice. 20 minutes based on Lumio, but really trying to actually use this for kind of the older students in higher education, further education, that kind of post 16, and seeing how that is used for there as well. So this is part of a kind of series. We've looked at smart hardware. We've looked at getting started with Lumio itself, looking at the interaction, looking at engagement itself. But as I said, how can we use that for teaching that post-16 students, where they're very much looking at, I need to teach this kind of content over and over again. Some of the students might be remote, some of them might be on site. They're not normally in that, well, they might be in that classroom setting, but equally including lecture theatres, distance learning, or kind of that project base where they're needing to come back and assess for it, and that side as well. And me using that content over and over, not having to restart it each time. So what we're going to focus on there as well. So that's enough of a kind of spiel to getting started with. Let's just jump in and have a go with it. So I've gone to my page here, as you can kind of see all around me, which is Lumio. The main website for this is just Lumio, lum.io, and you can sign in with your single sign-on and get going with this. If you have got a smart software subscription already, then you've got full access to this. If you haven't got that subscription, then you're going to have the ability to use this as a free trial for about 10, 20 lessons based on storage. And then beyond that, that's when the subscription will be needed for that. If you want to delete a few, more than welcome to. If you want to have a bit of a play with it, more than welcome for that as well. So last week, we kind of dived into using it and that engagement, that assessment for itself here. But today, like I said, we're just going to have a bit of a recap on that. But how can this be used for older age students as well? So just as a quick kind of overview of what I've got here, if I'm kind of going up to that top kind of corner up there, I've got this where that new section is there. So in that new section, what I can do is to start making that new content, but equally use this as use that existing content. So my rights and lefts, right at the top of the here, this is where I've got my resources. So from here, I can add in a resource from my computer. I can add it from anywhere on the board, it's on my computer itself, or actually start anew as well. So I can bring in editable PDFs. I can bring editable PowerPoints straight into here. I've logged in with my Microsoft account, so that's going to be using that. But if it was a Google account, excuse me, then I can bring in my slides and everything from there as well. And that's the same as I can bring them in and then choose the one that I want, and they're straight within that. Now, as I've done one earlier, I've brought in some PDFs and PowerPoints from before, so I'm just going to scroll down and find what I've already got, and I'm just going to bring this one here as well. So I can just start new, as you can see there, or I can just go and edit that file. So I'm just actually going to just start by editing it, just so you can see that this is a PowerPoint that I've brought in. I've done nothing more than that, and it's just simply there. So down the side here, what you'll notice is then this is the PowerPoint within here. I have done this before, so I'm just added a few extra slides. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete those ones I've already added in. And then this was my PowerPoint. You can see then there's my opening slide. There's my learning objectives, that key information. I've got some group work that I want the students to kind of participate in this. So it's kind of teed up for a demo lesson for myself, but that overall flow is there from a standard PowerPoint. I can add content to it, but from that normal PowerPoint, you can finish editing, it's in there. And then in my library, I've got that content. So just checking that it's all there, I now start that session. Now, what's really good for starting this new session, particularly when I'm delivering that content over and over again, is that up there, you can now see what it does is start that new section. new session created, I'm date stamping it and the time here. Equally, I could call that year 12, whatever it might be, A. I've now created that session, and that session means that I've taken that original document and I've made it this new one here. So if I want to start again for another cohort, they've also got a copy of that as well. I've got one student connected. This is now the link that I've put into the chat. So if you do want to click that link in the chat, it will take you to this live session here, and then you can join in this session as well. Or like you saw there, they can scan that QR code and they're in. This means that then I'm sharing this file with my learner, they've got it in front of them as well. So it might just be simple as I'm going to the kind of next page on here, which I can go onto here, next page, and then my student is seeing next page as well. Really kind of simple content, that what it's showing me here is the fact that I'm showing it, the students can see it as well. If they are then on site, at the back of the hall, back of the lecture theatre, they can see that content on theirs as well. If they're needing to print screen it and making notes, or they can copy and paste it across rather than having to take a photo of the main screen. It keeps the focus on it itself, rather than having to show them the whole PowerPoint and they're kind of skimming forward or chucking the whole thing into AI and summarizing it themselves. But it just keeps that focus on where you're doing it here. Equally, I've got pen tools as the teacher, so I can, for example, go ahead and highlight kind of key sections within this, saying, look, we're looking at this bit, we're looking at this bit, and then kind of this will be the follow-up words. As I'm making these notes, if you're connected in front of you now, or the students are connected, they will see, if I just move out of the way for a minute, all those notes there being annotated on it. So that circle from that there, they will see on their device now as well. Equally, if I'm typing any notes on here, those added notes, they will see on their device. They actually haven't got the ability to have those notes down the side here. They can't annotate on it yet because this is still teacher paste. This is while the teacher displaying that content. As I kind of continue to go through that, showing that content, they are then seeing those. But obviously, if they're wanting to make notes, if you're wanting them to actually have that engagement with that content, that is when then this page comes into hand. So again, I've set this up as a very demo page, if you like, but by simply clicking on these people at the top here, I can see a list of the students that are that kind of partaking in this lesson. But equally in the middle there, you can then see there's how do I want my learners to kind of take part in this lesson? Is it note-taking? So it's just kind of that top one. I can't even point to it. There you go. That top one there, the individual notes. Is it kind of on that group basis? Or finally at the bottom down there, is it that whole class whiteboard? How do I want them to partake in it? So for the top one, just taking notes, there it is. So then all of them have got a copy of that. As they then click start on it, you can see that their name is then highlighted at the top there. Down at the bottom, I can see right over that side, I should shoot it with the cursor. They've got then the teacher notes as well. This means that I can then still deliver that content to the class, but actually now they've got it as an individual document. They could be making notes on the session itself here, or they could be asking questions. They could be whatever it might be. It then gives me as a lecturer, as that teacher side of it, I can click into their notes and see what they're writing around it. Or if it is that task that I want them to complete, they can be doing it on here. But then rather than having to kind of having a chat box or something like that over Teams, Zoom, whatever like there, actually they can do it in that lesson and see that lesson as well, asking questions. I can then equally give feedback to that learner, answer any questions, correct it, whatever I might need to be doing directly in that file. So obviously that's on an individual basis, great. Another example, rather than that, might be a whole class, might be group work. So in this group work here, again, they can be kind of writing, making notes on here. But by clicking on these people, but rather than going up to the individual, clicking on the group work, then that group work sends it out to my class. I've only got one connected here, so it won't particularly work. So yeah, I can't quite with only one group, but you get the hang of it. I can then connect my learners. They can have that assessment or that collaborative work as a group to participate in. It gets them talking, it gets them involved, get them engaged with it, rather than just sitting through another PowerPoint, sitting through another presentation. What it might be as a lecturer, as an educator, I've just got my PowerPoint, remember, that I've done nothing to it. But then in the flow of the lesson, I'm saying, right, well, what do you think about this one? In groups, quick discussion points. Again, it doesn't have to be name linked. They can just come up and write on this, come up and do something, share their thoughts. It gets them a bit of a progress check during that session, so they're not just viewing it and carrying on going with that content. Equally, if I want to put this on student pacing, again, clicking on that top here, now clicking on student pacing means that as an educator, I can go and display something on the main page. They can then also have the autonomy to go into any of these sections, press play on them all, see them all, actually do that content, or just say, right, the next however long we've got together, there's your notes, off you go. So then they're taking a bit more of that independence, they're taking a bit more ownership of it, but still within the parameters of your leadership, if you like, within that session. So all of that is a different, more interactive, more engaging way of delivering your PowerPoint, your slides, your presentation, or if you are, of course, using a smart notebook file, that as well. So let's go ahead and kind of end that session here. Brilliant. Hope you had a chance to read that. And then you can see here, now this looks different to where we were before, if I just come into the middle now. So what you'll see down that side here, these are all the sessions that I've already started. So if I'm doing this with different cohorts, you can see right on the one at the very top, there's actually timestamps. It's saying that class page. What does I call it? Class A or year 12A. So that's labeled, but equally all the other ones kind of down here, those are all labeled as if kind of these are the classes that I've taught. So if I want to go back and review them, now over the other side over there, point to that way, I'll get there at some point, you can now see that I can review these sessions down the side here. I can start them live again, or actually now I can share that as an assignment. This is where I could then send this and put this onto Moodle. I could put this onto any other place, Teams, Google Classroom, with that link there, so the students can then come back to it, see their notes, see their own revision guide for that, but equally I can send that out as an assignment for them kind of as well. Those are then all sitting in this class sessions here, right at the top, which is then great for those self-placed learning. They can do it again. And I haven't got to worry about making notes. Have I made it on the original? Have I made it on a copy? It always starts as a copy. And that's the advantage of having those class sessions right at the top there. So going back to kind of my library at the beginning, again, at the top here, you can see that's the session I started already. And then if I wanted, for example, to edit that session, this is where we came right at the beginning, where to add in that content to check it was here. This is where I can add in more content. So if all of this is quite, whoa, I just want to deliver my PowerPoint, that's all we've looked at so far. But if perchance you do want to add in more content, this is where you can. It might be adding an advert for YouTube or a ClickView link if you've got that subscription. It might be using Desmos or PhET simulations. Those are both in itself. You might be adding some more backgrounds like your graphic organizers. These are all in here. Great to kind of add a frame model so I can then set that out, what your thoughts, so you can get your students' input with any of those bits and pieces in there as well. Or of course, if I want to actually add in a game and assessment to that, I can do those as well. Either as a response, this is more formative assessment, and you can see that it has, just setting an assessment, so easy to just add in a prompt for this as well, and then that can be generated for you. Everyone's got access to this for 2 kind of assessments per day. If you need more than that, that is then when you're looking at the higher tiers, the paid for versions. And then even without that AI assist, I can create those ones within here, really quick and easy to make them. The AI assist will again assist you to make them. So then each time it's assisting it, it will then put it into edit mode so you can then make it personalized for your learners. And that is that formative assessment. Equally, as well as that, you've got this kind of gamification within that as well, which again just gives that different way of doing it. It's not just going through that same thing, that you can add the games, you can add the assessments. If it is more of a team quiz, this one's a great one here for your kind of post-16 learners. But again, a lot of them are great fun to just play with as well. You'll see by default, a lot of them, the play button just gives you an example of what it is. Yes, they've got that quite primary background, but all of them there, you can customize that. You can just put a blank template on it itself, or of course, put anything you need within there as well. I'll just let that on play just so you can see the blank template itself, check answers, and then there you go, there's that blank template as well. It's all kind of appropriate for any age learner as well. They may like the fishes as well. So all of that can be added to your Lumio lesson. Finish doing that, then that's all in there. I've got all my lessons at the top. I've got my folders organized in there. And at the very top, I've got my class sessions as well. So a real great way to bring that interactivity to your PowerPoint for your learners. Lumio is just a web-based activity. So you can use this from any device and send it out to them just by going to lum.io, signing in with your single sign-on. But equally for the learner, when I do, let's just go back into that session again and start live again, the learners can join this as well. Now, if it is just from a phone, brilliant. If it's from an iPad, a Chromebook, a MacBook, a Windows, whatever it might be, because it is device agnostic, they don't need an app, they don't need any downloads, so they can all join this as well. And like I put the link into the chat as well, they can join remotely, and then we can share a screen through Teams, Zoom, whatever it might be as well. So great for those learners in the class, or those that are joining remotely, or even just from another place on the campus, or the back of a lecture theatre, but they need to be able to see it in front of them, and that's too far away. And any then accessibility features on their device can be used, either as an input for speech, for anything from there, or obviously screen readers to be able to actually have that for them themselves, or just pinch to zoom because it's still a bit small. Any of that can be used within Lumio as well. So give it a trial, give it a go. If you want to know more about it itself, there's also this little hat at the top here as well. That hat will just give you some training and bits and pieces of that as well, just to dive into a bit more into Lumio and get you started with there as well. Or of course, drop me an email and I'll offer you any support I can be for that as well. Let me just put my email in the chat. Obviously, feel free to email me directly. A recording of this will go out tomorrow if you want to kind of go through and pause it and have those bits as for that as well. And of course, then just finally, just to kind of coming back to us kind of session notes overall. So we're coming down here. Let's just move out the way. Which am I going? I'm going this way. And right at the bottom, we're going to come back in a couple of weeks' time and look at this section here, which is actually how can I teach with no computer. So directly from the smartboard itself, I can use Lumio directly from the board if I want to use any other app, any other content directly on the board. Don't need to plug anything in. That's what we'll focus on in a few weeks' time. But of course, if there are any other questions that pop up between now and then, just drop me an email and I'll kind of answer any of those. I haven't seen anything that's come up into the chat, but hopefully that has been a good start and useful for yourselves to have a bit of a nose around Lumio for your use, particularly with your secondary and post-16 learners. So thanks very much for joining. Hope you're all keeping well. We'll log off for now, but of course, any other questions, please be in touch and take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.